Hey, thank you. So we're going to jump into this really quick, but I want to say if you're watching live on Twitch, thank you for tuning in. All your subs are appreciated. If you are watching the replay, yes, the replay, that means you missed it live. But if you're watching the replay on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe button, leave us a comment on Leif's hat because we love it. Quickly, let me introduce my guest. I got my guy, Greg Sylvander from Five Reasons. Greg, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? I am excited as hell to be here. This is super dope. Should be a fun episode. So thank you for having me.
All right. And you know this guy. Everybody knows this guy, Mr. Alphonse
Kinda.
Sidney, kinda. Or you know him as Alf or the president of Heat Twitter or the guy who just rants for no damn reason. Alf, say what's up to the people.
I always have a very good reason behind my rants. And I will say, I've had to beg Tiffany to come on this show, which is, I'm like, it hurts a little bit, but I'm finally here, finally making my maiden voyage. I got my bullet old fashioned. Do we do what are you drinking on this show or no?
No, we don't.
Oh, well, anyway, I got my bullet old fashioned cocktail. I'm ready to go.
hmm
I'm ready to answer some questions
Take a
about
sip,
Josh
sip.
Richardson.
Agua.
Woo. Yeah, I got a little water too. And before I hit you off with the first segment of the show, I got to say what's up to my guy behind the scenes, Brian M. Brian M., thank you for producing. And here we go. So we got to start off with Tyler. And basically, let's talk about the gift of scoring that he's given us since he got back. Leif, jump into it, talk about what you see, talk about what you don't see, and talk about what you love.
It's funny. It's a situation where anybody who said they didn't need Tyler Hero is crazy because you
Right.
immediately see him come back and assume the same position offensively, be as effective as he was offensively early.
hmm
Obviously, it led to a victory in Orlando. People are going to get all sideways about the ending, but it was one
Right.
of the most impressive road wins of the season, independent of that last little bit, which I know enraged us all. But I really think Tyler has ascended to a place where he's one of the more complete offensive guards in the league. Like, obviously, there's two sides to the court,
Right.
and there's things in terms of him finding his spots in the same spaces that Jimmy finds his spots in
hmm
that I think that they need to work through. But ultimately, I mean, the averages don't lie, and I'm using the counting stats just to dumb it down. Like, he's been phenomenal. He's young as
hmm
heck. And
Right.
really, for me personally, I know we've gone transaction heavy in the last few years, and everyone always wants the next whale.
hmm
Truthfully, I would rather win a championship with Bam, Tyler, and Jimmy than any other trio. That
hmm
would be the most fun, organic way to get it done. So I hope that he finds his way from a winning perspective in Miami, because right now the stats and the play on the court individually, they don't
Right.
lie.
Right. Go ahead, Alf.
No, yeah, I mean, it's some of the Tyler conversation's been really silly, right? As big a Duncan fan as I am, I'm like, yeah, Tyler needs to start. Like, it's like Tyler's just like, I mean, you just watch him the last two games. He's just, I mean, I'm sorry to be cliche, but he's a bucket, right? Like, the guy just gets you those points, and he gets you a lot of those relief points that I've talked about, and that we've talked about a lot since Goran was here. And Goran used to do that a lot, give you those little
hmm
relief points where things just seem bogged down, and he creates something out of nothing. Tyler has some of that. His defense has been better lately. No one's really talking about
Yep.
that. I mean, there's a lot of guys who showing their ass on defense right now.
Right.
Like, we can talk about that. But Tyler's been one of the few that, like, okay, like, he's actually playing above his level
hmm
defensively. And then, like, offensively, we're talking about his scoring. And some people are making jokes about he's not really a 3-level scorer because of the finishing. Okay, fine. Nobody gets their shit blocked more than Tyler Hero. Okay, fine, we get it. But at least he tries to
Okay.
put pressure on the rim. I mean,
Right.
not everybody can be Duncan Robinson, right? But he gets to the rim. He tries to get to the rim. He has the mid-range game. We know he can shoot the three. Table setting on the offense a little bit. And
hmm
a lot of these conversations about Tyler have revolved around him dominating the ball, his usage rate, and things like that. And I'm just here to say, and I said the other night, and I've been saying on Twitter, like, Tyler, yes, there is a little bit of a problem with the mix and sometimes how guys are playing and how they're playing off of Tyler and how Tyler's playing off of them. But please take it all into context. It's not always Tyler's fault. If everyone
Mhm.
is standing around watching Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, like that's not all Tyler's fault.
Right, right.
And they need to figure that out, right?
Yep,
They
yep.
really need to figure out because we're in year 5 of this build,
Mhm.
Right.
and if Bam, Tyler, and Jimmy can't get on the same page and figure out how to work together on offense, it's going to continue to be a problem. And it's kind
Right,
of silly that we're still here. But
right.
I would just venture everybody to think a little bit outside the box and not just blame it on Tyler getting more than 25 points. That is the laziest narrative of all
Right.
time.
Because I think one of the things I know for me is that I think it also looks different if, and this is hyperbole, but like let's say Kyle Lowry was 5 years younger. I think the offense looks different.
Oh, for sure.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
you if you had a guard next to him who could command the offense, who could score, who I'm not going to say lock down on defense, but who was a high level defensive player, I think it all looks different because you also have someone who can push Tyler to play in different areas on the court.
But
Where
I,
he's
I
not
Tiff,
taking up
Leif,
the same space as Jimmy.
but okay, even if they
Go,
had
go
that,
ahead, go ahead.
uh, even if they had that point guard, um,
Mhm.
is that going to change the way Jimmy plays next to Tyler? I guess that is
Well,
my,
I that's the but at some point you do have to try something else. You
yeah.
can't
yeah, Jimmy
because
needs to try to move.
well,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Jimmy Butler, and
No, but
honestly,
no, we agree. We
the
agree.
but
last
you
couple
guys get
weeks
what
been
I'm
rough.
saying.
Right,
La-
right, right. I agree, but I think that like it's it's one thing for Kyle to be able to verbally command the offense. It's another thing to have a point guard who can verbally and physically command the offense.
oh, for
Because
sure.
that type of guy forces the other four into other roles and sometimes into other roles that are better for the team.
I mean, imagine if they had a point guard that could not only guard his own yard but could help off of others
Mhm.
and such, and switch, and things would be seamless the way it is with Bam. You have another
Right.
one of those guys flanking
Mhm.
Tyler. I think it makes him less of a risk, and with his improved defensive stuff,
Right.
um you're on to something there, that there is ways that they can help him try to succeed in this role. But I hate the fact that it's year 5 of this thing, and
And
we're
we're
still
still
talking about, like, does Tyler mix with
mhm.
Jimmy? Like, it's the first time ever that we're still having those questions without there already being a big transaction that's taking place. So that
Right.
shows a different level of patience than ever before.
Mhm.
But it's weird vibes. Like, you got like a big faction of the fan base that actually kind of, I think, almost has like disconnected from Tyler because they thought he was going to be traded. And so they've like lost
Yes.
this
Yes.
affinity for him.
Yes.
And now they've
Yes.
like swung the complete
Mhm.
far opposite direction, where they're overcompensating and saying the most ridiculous shit possible. Pardon my French.
Right.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
No,
curse.
you're allowed. You're
Okay,
allowed.
word.
Mhm.
I know.
You're
I guess
It's
allowed.
me and
Alpha's
Tiffany.
on. I
Yeah,
mean, what am
Yeah.
I?
Alpha's on.
What am I
I
doing, yo?
yeah, I agree. And like not to even dip back into this water, but I've said and I've said in our chat and I had people laugh at me where I said there was this whole thing around you maybe you thought you were getting Dame, which means that there were guys that obviously weren't going to be there, right? So everybody shifted to that direction. And maybe guess what? The Heat thought we're getting Dame and these guys aren't going to be there. Well, look, here we are. These guys are
Mhm.
here. So I think it makes for an interesting roster construction. Whereas I'll play with the word. We're deeper. We have no idea if we're better because this is where we are right now with the injuries, with all the things that are happening. But the one thing that we do know is that Tyler can score the ball. So if you can figure out how to get that to work when Bam is healthy, when Jimmy is healthy, I don't know what Jay Rich is going to be doing. I like I because I'm
Um,
confused with everything that's happening.
Well, I
But
think
with those two.
one of the things talking about year 5 of the build, right? It is very it is concerning that we're still talking about this at this
Mhm.
point, right? But I think one of the things that's happened is that these guys are not the same players they were in year 1, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And I'm
Right.
talking about all three of them.
Right.
Let's keep the focus on the big three, right? Because I honestly think Kyle's having a good year.
He
I'd like to
is.
see Haywood Highsmith back in that power forward role. I hate Caleb Martin at the 4. I like Kevin Love as the backup 5. I think Haywood is a natural fit for that 4 position. I think Jaime is a little too small. I like him at the backup 4, the backup 3, that swing position. But the big three, right? Tyler, Bam,
Mhm.
Jimmy. Talking about those guys because it is what it is at this point.
Right.
Dame ain't here. They're not
Right.
trading Tyler for anybody, like unless it's a
Agree.
Donovan Mitchell type, and that's not happening anytime soon. So
Right.
this is the build. But those
Yep.
guys have all three of these guys have changed over the last 5 years, right? Bam wants the ball more. Bam wants to score. Bam, all his points were off of opportunity, right? Rim
Mhm.
running,
Mhm.
No
offensive
plays.
rebounds.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
no plays for Bam. Now they're calling plays for Bam. Tyler is demanding the ball. Like you cannot, he's undeniable. And Jimmy has taken a regular season back seat when it comes to scoring,
But
but he
playoff Jimmy.
hasn't, yeah, until it comes to the playoffs, but he
Right.
hasn't really taken this off ball role very well. So it's like if Jimmy doesn't have the ball, Jimmy's just kind of standing. And then
Mhm.
Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler are
Mhm.
actually all kind of working in the same space. Jimmy's not
Yep.
shooting threes, so they're not worried about Jimmy shooting the 3. And then when Jimmy's handling the ball, Tyler hasn't been Tyler, I've seen him in the past be a very good off-ball player. But I don't know if he's abandoned that game because he wants the ball more. I just feel like it's real. I'll use a South Florida term that Lief will understand. It's real Aki right now with those 3 guys. Like they got to get their shit together because they're so good. Like
Yeah.
it's a good problem to have. You have these 3 guys that
Yeah.
that can all score the ball. They are unselfish players. I don't think there's a selfishness to it. I just think
Right.
it's like, and I know the fit can work, but that's
Right.
why it's so frustrating to watch.
I agree. I think the fit. And I probably get scorned for this, but I think the fit works better if you got better players around them. Like,
I mean, to
what?
have $29.7 million, and I hate to harp on Kyle because he has had a good season and he's been the connective tissue in a lot of
Right.
what's been right
Mhm.
with the team. Like you can't deny that. I mean, if you look at all the best lineups, they usually include Kyle to some degree.
Mhm.
Um, but he's just not a threat in certain ways. And to be allocating almost $30 million to a player who has declined like that, and I think we talk about what Jimmy looks like right now. Jimmy also asked directly for Kyle, and now he got Kyle, and here we are. So
Right.
that I think that's another just tough part of this. That if you
Mhm.
had that $30 million spread out towards other players, would the roster look better around the big 3? To Tiffany's point, or is it a situation where you would be able to make a different type of a move around these guys? I don't know. It's a weird circumstance with Kyle because he's playing well, but he's never going to play well enough to justify his percentage of payroll. And I hate to make it about payroll, but when you're talking about it in this context, it's impacting basketball. So
Mm.
that's where I think it's warranted to talk about.
Alf, you
I,
have anything?
no, I do. It just like sometimes I wonder, right? Like who like even if you had a better point guard, I think defensively you really can you can get some upgrades there.
Mhm.
But almost at this point, with the way those 3 guys are playing, it's you want to guard a point guard that doesn't demand the ball and doesn't want to shoot that
This is
much.
true.
Right.
Like
Right.
you
But
you
but
don't
you want them to be able to.
Yeah.
That's
you
the
don't want to pay,
difference.
yeah, but you don't want to pay Derek Fisher $30 million. But this is a Derek Fisher ass team, right? Like this
Mm.
is the kind of team that needs the Derek Fisher type, the guy
Yep.
who just wants to set the table for others, play some good defense, shoot a
Mhm.
spot up 3. My biggest
You
problem with
don't think
Kyle is
Terry
like,
Rozier would work going solo, YOLO,
listen,
shooting
yeah.
29 times a
Guess what I
game?
want?
Man, it's
I
too much
want Rucker
too much
Park.
hezzy.
I
Too much
want Rucker
hezzy.
Park basketball with Jimmy and Tyler just watching. That's what I want. Like some of the
It's
now a Terry Rozier as the backup point.
Yeah, if he wants to accept
Yeah.
that role,
Right.
because
We're
he
on the
can
second
do
year.
it. To Tiff's
Right.
point, he can do it.
He can do it. But you got to have but the thing about it is to play with a guy like, namely Jimmy, even if you are consistent and I'm going to set the table, you still need to be the guy that if I need you to get 15 to 20,
Yep.
you got to get the 15 to 20. So that's
My
go ahead, Al.
my thing is when he doesn't shoot is when it drives me nuts, right?
Who,
Like when they
Kyle?
swing the ball and it's Kyle and he's
Oh
wide
yeah,
open and he does. But I will
he
say
can
it's been
shoot.
less this year.
He can
It's
shoot.
been he's one of the. I think he still has he's like one of the best catch and shoot percentages in the league.
Correct.
And honestly, he's been shooting more this year. I
Mhm.
think. I don't know. Listen, I
Lately, for
test.
I
sure.
think he has
Yeah,
lately, yeah.
lately. And I've enjoyed watching him play. And
Mhm.
I've enjoyed it so much, it drives me crazy when he doesn't play the entire fourth quarter. But whatever. I'm not.
We'll get to that next.
The fourth quarters. Oh,
This is and let's and Alf, you just brought it up, so why don't we transition into that? So
Oh, geez, I haven't had enough to drink yet.
yes. So after last night's game, should Kyle guide the sleigh in the fourth quarter?
Well, go ahead, Lief. You go first.
I mean, why the hell not? At this point, they need to try all different things. The other thing that they're doing, where Jimmy sits till at least the 6 minute mark. Sometimes, like I think the Minnesota game, he didn't
Mhm.
get back until like the 4.5 minute mark because there
Yeah.
was no stoppage of play. Like, what are we doing there
Right.
too? When you look at fourth quarter minute averages per game, Jimmy is eighth or so because he only gets his 7 minutes a quarter there, and that's it. And it's
Mhm.
very like rigid. And I think that Spolstra getting a little less rigid with the rotations late is a big piece of what could maybe help. And then, yeah, like try Kyle. Why not? You're bleeding out every fourth quarter. I don't see
Right.
why the hell you wouldn't try all these different combinations. I think a little more Haywood Highsmith, who they shockingly, Alf, like they don't close with him. But I like if you
No.
told me before the year who's Spolstra gonna close with, who's he gonna trust, I would have been banging this table talking about Haywood Highsmith to be that guy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been that guy yet. It's weird.
Because you know what's funny? It's not just like offense or defense. It's both. Like they are bad offensively and they're bad
Mhm.
defensively. And I think, but I really do what happens. I think that happens. It starts with the offense, right? I think what happens is they
Right.
start playing this prevent basketball.
Mhm.
And just like you said, Leif, at some point, do something different, right? And we haven't seen much difference. We've seen a lot of Josh Richardson in the fourth. We've seen Jimmy come in at that 5.5 to 6.5 minute mark. We've seen Bam start the fourth, leave, and then come back. Or
Mhm.
sometimes he has to play the whole fourth because they just start hemorrhaging. I just like to me, I just don't understand it. It's like you can't. You have Josh and Caleb at times bringing the ball up, controlling the offense. Right? Someone put out that stat
What are we
today that
doing?
no two people on the Heat hold the ball longer than those two.
Yes.
Right? And I'm telling you, I didn't need to see the stat. Eye test shows you that nothing good happens when they hold the ball for more than a second, right?
No.
So you have those who just holding the ball. Then you have everybody else just starts playing really tight and really weird, right? Like they get really. I mean, they get real hesitant to shoot the ball. It's like they're trying to run the clock out because they all know
Yeah.
their fourth quarter.
Right.
Like they all know the fourth quarter is
Yeah.
bad.
It's like
But it's like do something different, right?
Right.
Like
Well, even
I don't understand. We don't just keep that same offensive mindset we had through the first three quarters. All of a sudden, we get to the fourth quarter, and now it's just grinded out basketball that didn't get you the lead in the first place.
well, I think for me, like, and speaking of last night, you close with the backcourt of Tyler and Josh, and neither one of them looked like they had a plan. They would take turns bringing the ball up, and they would take turns turning it over, or dribbling into the paint, getting stuck, pivoting, and just yeah, exactly. Eh, So
Josh.
and I'm beating the table, and I'm saying I get it. You want Tyler in there for offense, then you bring Kyle in to handle the ball
Mhm.
Yeah,
because
it
this is the
doesn't.
moment you need steady. You
You know
don't
what?
need yeah
I think all things being fair, and equal, Kyle would have sat last night and he would have been on the same Jimmy plan if they had more point guards on the roster, but they know they can't get away with it because if you look at the
right
minute count, he only played like 17 or 18 minutes. So like
right
basically they limited him to just starting the game and
Mhm.
that other portion of the game, and that's it for him. And
He's
so
on the
that,
Myers Leonard plan,
yeah,
damn near.
thank you. That's a
Right,
way
right.
better way of articulating it, and people will get it immediately. Like, that's just a weird position to put Kyle in, and they,
Mhm.
from a roster construction standpoint, I don't think they have the luxury of putting Kyle in that spot right now. Like, they don't have that many more capable facilitators, ball
Right.
handlers, dudes to command the offense, as Tiff called it earlier. Like, I think that that's a really good
They have
explanatory
one.
way of
They have
mentioning it,
1 point. They
commanding
have
it.
one floor general on the whole team.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
Bam is the
honestly,
second best dude
And I
on
was
the
gonna say,
roster when he
I
gets
I
it and
would have even
goes. I'm
right,
like, that's
I
our
would have
best
even given
offense.
Bam the ball last night and said, "You know
well,
what?
and
You
here's the
got it."
thing. What happens is, and I feel like Jimmy comes back in, and he should take the like. Why don't you play Kyle the first half of the fourth quarter, and
Yeah.
then let Jimmy come in and not at 4.5 minutes left? Because first of all, Jimmy seems like he needs a little time to ramp up. He never comes into these fourth quarters on fire, right? So
Yeah.
he comes in at like the 5.5 minute mark, and like the first time he shoots it is with 3.5 minutes left,
Right.
and it's usually some like weird fadeaway,
Three.
Mhm.
bad, like some really bad shot. Sometimes he makes it, a lot of times he doesn't, right?
Uh,
So I don't understand why you wouldn't play Kyle like maybe the first 7, 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, right? Make sure that the offense stays the
right.
same offense we've been playing through three, and then bring Jimmy in, overlap him a little bit with Kyle, and then you go with then you go with your defensive lineup to close the game. You bring Kyle out, and listen, this idea that Josh
Who's the
Richardson's some kind of point of attack defender, can we please jettison that shit?
Yeah.
Because he's not. Caleb
He
hasn't been a
tries
very good
hard.
defender.
He
Oh,
does. He try listen, he's trying, but as I said before, I his feet are the wrong way, his hips are not the right way,
Yeah.
and
worse positioning,
So he's
yes, and
worse
he's
real
ankles.
handsy, real
right, and he's
handsy.
Yeah,
riding the dribbler all the way down.
it's
That's
all
Just
the
how
way
I
to a
used to play
layup.
defense in high school. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was
just
gonna
riding the
be in a
dribbler.
circle of trust and truth right here. I was a handsy defender because I couldn't keep up with my hips and my feet.
I, you know who I was? I was a switch. I was like, get him, get him, get him. I was switching. Get him.
Call it a switch.
You're pushing your teammate over. Get over
Yeah,
there, get over
get
there.
him.
Get him.
I ain't
But
that
it's
fast. Shit.
but that's the combination where I once we settled into this roster, Caleb and Josh, I thought would have a better handle on the point of attack
Mhm.
because if you look at the names on this list, who do you look at immediately? Those two.
I've
Yeah,
trusted
Who else are you
Kyle
looking
and
at?
Duncan. I've trusted Kyle and Duncan at the point of attack more than I've trusted Caleb and Josh this year.
that's scary.
That says
And
something.
I think
it
that
is
Haywood
bad.
Highsmith will get some of that,
What
and Jimmy too
No,
is gonna have
right.
to take some of that responsibility because
Haywood's been the best, maybe.
it can't be, oh well, when it gets serious, Bam will guard him. Like, how
Right.
many people how much responsibility are you gonna put on that guy's shoulders? Like, damn.
And then
Right.
we get we don't have Haywood in there, so we give up offensive rebounds.
That
Right.
too.
And we've
Yeah.
seen it against these big teams that we don't close with Kevin Love either. Like, you know what it is that it drives me crazy? Is like I'm looking at the closing lineup half the time, and I can name 4 guys that should be in there over Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
Mm,
Hopefully that's just because of the injuries.
right.
Hopefully.
But I mean, Haywood's been fine. Like they've had the guys that could play,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
just insists on closing with Josh Richardson. And it's not all Josh's fault. Like, let's get
Right.
that clear because, like, if he was a slasher attacker, somebody put it out there on Twitter today, like a spot up 3-point guy. If he was in the role that he should be in, and he
Right.
was doing it for a while, like during the win streak, that man wasn't barely touching the ball, right?
Mhm.
And he was playing that role. And
Mhm.
then it's just gone back to this ball dominating thing, and I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And to me, it's like, listen, you keep miscasting a guy, he's
Right.
going to play poorly.
It's what happens when you
And
lose players of the magnitude of Drew Smith. I mean, like, this is a big time deal. It's most underreported story in sports.
now, Leif, do you remember? And honestly, it was your network that was trying to tell me that Josh Richardson was going to be the starting point guard with Tyler Herro, and Kyle Lowry was going to come off the bench. And I swore I was taking fucking crazy pills. I was like, what Josh Richardson? Is there another Josh Richardson that I've never seen play basketball before in my fucking life? Not the Josh Richardson that like walks out of bounds in clutch situations. Not the Josh Richardson that holds the ball to 10 seconds left in the shot clock.
You
Not
want
the
to know
Josh
what's
Richardson.
crazy about that? That the only reason Ethan brought that up is because a high-ranking Heat official thought that before training camp. Obviously, not one that's on the coaching staff.
Obviously,
know,
obviously not somebody that's watching.
I probably know who it is, and that guy don't know shit about basketball. But anyway, that's why Lief is laughing.
I think I said this last night. There seems to be a problem with players being miscast. Like we keep trying to thrust Tyler into this. He can be the starting point guard. No.
Caleb's a power forward.
Right.
Yep. What?
But it's also part of who you got on the roster.
And they would tell us we're thinking in boxes too much. They would say that like this is all blends together other than like it's basically guards, bigs, and wings. And like, why are you getting so
I remember the last
defined.
time I did a show with Jack Alfonso, and he was I was like, he's like, the problem with positionless basketball is other teams have positions. It's dead ass. It's like you want to keep positionless, and these motherfuckers have 2 7-footers on the floor getting every offensive rebound. Like,
right.
You got to match up with that.
At some point, the Caleb Martin thing is cute. You know, like I thought they were playing their best basketball when Haywood started. I mean, what's the record with Haywood at the 4 starting is really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
With Jaime as the backup 4, Bam as a starting center, Kevin Love behind him.
They'll probably get to it.
And then like Caleb and Josh were like coming in with like spelling Jimmy, and like it was just a whole different. If they were playing in a different way, and then now I see a lot of Caleb and like at the 4, it's just I don't know why we've gotten back to this when every time we tried it, it's not like I mean we all watched last regular season.
Right.
It's not a recipe for success. Not night in and night out. Matchup dependent sometimes.
Yeah,
like we saw in the playoffs
against Boston.
Right.
Well,
Boston.
In the playoffs, depending on who you're playing, when they have a 2 big lineup, like 2 real bigs, Kevin Love or Haywood Highsmith got to be out there. But when you're playing Boston, Caleb Martin made more sense. But on a night in night out basis in the regular season with the wear and tear and the travel, like no, you got to get to a traditional starting lineup.
So that leads me. It's funny because you guys are going right into where I want to go.
Professional.
Can Haywood? Yes, you are. Can Haywood be the Grinch and steal more minutes from everybody else?
He better.
He better. I think he will. I actually had a take on 5 on the Floor maybe 10 days ago that I thought by the end of the year Caleb Martin would not be in the closing rotation or in the closing talk because I thought Haywood Highsmith would make that spot his based, and this is when he was basically first getting back in action. I maybe am softening a bit on the fact that I think Caleb can still rise up in certain scenarios and be a player that they need, so I don't want to discount him, but I do think there's something to Haywood getting more minutes, also being a player that plays alongside Bam more often. I'd like to see Jaquez play alongside Bam more often if we're being serious. But primarily Haywood Highsmith, the lineup data with him like has always been good.
Yep.
When they start him, it's always been good. I feel like eventually if the Heat hit a rough patch, and truthfully, if we're talking about this, the Orlando win was good. Prior to that, though, they were a Jimmy Butler missed buzzer beater, potentially away from 3 really ugly games at home. So like this can go south quickly. And so I guess that's where I would say to impatient Heat fans that are like, why is Spoelstra not trying this yet? There's still time for them to slip, fall, and him try something like Haywood Highsmith starting or getting more minutes, being a more prominent player in the rotation.
I mean, when you talk about closing, how much more do they have to fall is my problem, right? Like, there's no, like they are the worst or second worst team in the league in fourth quarter net rating. They're bad.
Yeah, 28th, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much further to fall in the fourth. And like, to me, like if I'm looking at the closing lineup, it's Bam. It's our big three, of course. I think Haywood Highsmith has to play a role there. But even if not, right? When I'm looking at who should close with the big three, I got like four guys in mind. It's Jaime, Duncan, Kyle, and Kevin Love. You just rotate any four of those guys. I'm not closing with Josh Richardson. I'm not closing with Caleb Martin. Like I'm just not. And I don't know if I'm just being a hater. I don't know what it is. But I would take one of those four guys that are playing whatever two are playing the best.
Right.
And a lot of those guys can do interchangeable things. Like we watch lineups with Duncan and Tyler play really, really well yesterday. Like it's not this far-fetched thing that you cannot play those two together. Like
they played with Kendrick Nunn and they did good.
Well, and they've thank you. And they've both improved defensively since then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like those guys, they're not going to be a defensive stoppers, but they can play together. Kyle Lowry can play with Tyler Herro. Like the ones that can't are the ones that were playing the most at the end of the games, and it's driving me crazy.
Right.
I think we were all watching collectively the other night, and like, why is Josh in there? Why is it taking so long to put Jimmy back in? Those two things were at the top of every Heat fan's mind, and it's just like, why doesn't Spo see it sometimes?
So
but yeah,
I had
to your question, Haywood, please, for the love of God.
So I had thoughts about that. Whereas I was the poor soul at the Brooklyn game where he broke his ass. So I was unfortunately paid for that game.
He did break his ass.
Yeah, he broke his ass right in front of me. And it takes a while to come back from that. But I think what happened between him being injured was that Caleb did put together a streak of productive games. So I think it kind of made it hard for Spo to go back to Hayward. And then I think what happened was exactly. So when he finally did get his minutes, there were 3 games where he looked like dog water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
he had
the combination, right. Well, I think it was a combination of things though. Like, yes, I think he still was recovering from the injury. That's one. And I think at that point, do you trust your body? Because he fell really hard in front of us. I mean, like he fell really hard. So do you trust your body? And 2, are you confident in the shot that you had in the first 10 games of the season? That's the other thing.
Like
because he's
got to get back to it.
Right. Oh, no. But that's what I'm saying. He's not a scorer. He's not a shooter. He's making himself into that player. So it wasn't there. Now, last night, he looked confident. And when I mean he looked confident, he missed the first shot. But what did he do? He kept
Got
shooting.
it out. Reps.
Right,
That's what he needs.
Remember, the game prior, he didn't look at the basket. He didn't take a shot.
There was too many of those nights.
Yes. He literally just kept
it was giving PJ in the playoffs.
Exactly. He wasn't even trying to shoot. He didn't look to shoot. And I said I said in our chat, I said, if he plays like this, I'm not going back to him if I'm Spo. Like, you've got to take the shot when it's there. Or yes, you're valuable on the defensive end, but you're killing us on offense because they know you're not going to shoot. Mm-hmm. And last night, I think that was the start, hopefully, of what we see of the confidence coming back. Because with that confidence, when that first shot went in, what happened? He went back down on the defense and he got a stop. He went back down. So I think all those things for him, because he's not young in age, but he's young in NBA play.
Oh, for sure. And finding his role in his career.
Exactly. So I think all those things, it's where he needs the confidence from himself. He needs that confidence from his teammates, the coaching staff, where they're just going to have to kind of push him to say, shoot the damn ball. Like that's
he also needs a better haircut. That'll help him. I shouldn't be talking right now, but
y'all got the same hair.
No, I know, but he got to do something better with that Cosby Kid haircut he got.
Yeah, and Alf got better products.
Yeah, sure. I can help him.
He got to call you. He got to call you.
Listen, Haywood, hit me up.
But I think all those things played a part, and I felt like last night was like watching him the first week of the season.
But you know what? It's funny, man. Like I'm on Twitter. I think you guys know I'm on it way too much. And like people are telling me, oh man, we need a big next to Bam. The prototype for the guy next to Bam is a guy who is 6'8", can rebound, can defend his ass off, switch on to other bigs, and shoot a corner three.
With long
He
arms.
with long
With
arms,
long arms.
and can switch on the threes and fours, like and twos, like. And Haywood fits the bill, right? Now the thing is, and I've always said, you don't have to even just be a good shooter. Like you need to be in the mid 30s to high 30s, right? From three, you have to be willing. Like you have to be willing and able to shoot the three at all times. So when Haywood was looking hesitant, I'm like, nah, it ain't gonna work, bro. It just ain't gonna work. Like this is not the prototype. I need Jay Crowder out there slinging it.
Yeah.
Just shoot every chance you got. Like I need somebody
Get on his Max Strus.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm saying. I need you to respect the fact that if you leave me open, it's a wrap. Because here's the thing with it, when we talked about the big three, going back to those guys, they operate in very similar spaces, and it's all around like that free throw line extended and under. That's where they all like to operate. Tyler can shoot the three a little bit. Tyler can shoot the three really well, but when he's really working, it's free throw line extended and under, right?
Yeah.
So the other two guys out there need to be ready to shoot at all times, right?
Right.
And that's what Haywood needs to be ready in that corner, and Kyle needs to be ready at that elbow all the time, or at the top of the key. And if Haywood's gonna be hesitant, if Kyle's gonna be hesitant, then we need to find somebody else.
Right. No, I agree 100%, and I think that you hope, because moving forward, Jimmy's out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I think they all play
it's
on
all
Christmas,
hands on deck again.
I think we get everybody for Christmas like we did against Minnesota.
And you need that, because that's the moment where Spo can actually look and say, okay, now I can do this. Now
they play really bad with all. I literally
you got to see it, because
you got
like part of what
I feel
is
better when one of
paralyzed.
them's missing. I just
part of what paralyzes evaluation is the fact that they basically can continue to tell themselves, we haven't seen this hole. And like maybe you're never going to see it whole, and that's something you need to wrestle to the ground and be okay with, or not be okay with, and then act accordingly.
Right.
Well, and I would say that is one of the things that lends to the whole maybe take Tyler out the starting lineup, just because he's hurt a lot, right? I would never do it. I think it's crazy, but I guess maybe
too. He's too good now.
God, man, he's so fucking good. Like I'm watching the guy play. I'm like, what are we mad about?
It's what it is. It's fine. You just got to figure out what you're doing with everybody else. Because
I think they just have to find a way to weather the Jimmy Butler don't give a fuck minutes.
And like that's shitty to have to even navigate. That sucks, because he makes too much money. I mean, I'm gonna just be honest about that shit. You can't make $40 million and be on some like what are we doing there?
I'm gonna hope, because I said like 3 games in, and somebody called me out on Twitter, and I said, I don't know if we're at the point anymore where he doesn't give a fuck. I just think there's just nights his body doesn't give a fuck.
It could be.
I think
I really am starting to fall into that, which is a little bit more scarier than him not giving a fuck.
Yeah,
maybe he
but
just can't
also if they're conserving him, and it's not him, it has not to do with effort or enthusiasm about the game. If that gets him to the finish line in a better final form, then I guess like that would be a bigger picture conversation that maybe we're not privy to. You know what I'm saying?
My whole point would be to conserve him more in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah,
and let him play more than 4. Like
stop doing
idea,
what you're doing now.
Right.
Yeah, the idea that we wait to conserve him till our worst quarter, like that's dumb. Like don't do that.
do something else.
Like what quarter are we really good? The second, I think.
Like don't have him start the second half, so then he can just play in the fourth.
How about don't even have him start the game?
just don't just play the whole fourth. 12 minutes per game. Like,
and you're not coming out. I think though there's a lot to be said, and I do hope that you're right that we get everyone on Christmas, because you do need to see all these guys, and you need to see all these guys. Go ahead, Al.
But it's not just about Christmas, Tiff. It's I need an 8 week sustained.
Right. Well, I'm hoping that's the start.
Yeah,
Me
like
too.
we need 8 weeks of sustain. Like I just don't want another one of these years where we hover between 3 games above and 3 games below
Right.
500 for the entire season, and it's like this roulette game. Where are we going to fall? Right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
are we
Right.
going to be the 4th seed or are we going to be the 7th seed? You know, are we in the
Right.
play-in or we have home
You,
court advantage?
you
And
can't
it
have
just
that path
depends
2
on when.
years in a row. You can't do it.
No,
No.
we.
No.
No,
No.
listen. If
No. Because
listen, I
you you
do.
you you. Go ahead, Al.
I think they're better than last year. I really do. I think
Mhm.
deeper is such a funny thing because who gives a fuck about deeper? Oh, our 13th guy is better than our 13th guy last year. Who gives a shit? Like they're not going to see playoff minutes. But I do think 1 through 9, 1 through 10, they are better than last year. They fit more. There's this healthy. There's a lot of things that make sense. I think the backup point guard position needs to be. I think there needs to be some kind of movement on that at some point. Um, I'm a proponent of if it costs you Caleb Martin, if you're not going to pay him, and this is a whole transaction thing, so it's more
Right.
lane than mine. But if you're not going to pay Caleb Martin in the offseason, go get
Get
yourself a
something.
Spencer Dinwiddie or somebody, right?
Right.
That can back up Kyle Lowry and also give Kyle nights off. The man is old. He's thick. He gets tired. He bleeds gravy. Like you can't have that man playing 40 minutes a night every night. He needs time off. So I would like to, and then also they just have a lot of guys who are kind of the same build mold. I don't know what like they have a lot of these swing guys. Like consolidate that at some point
Yeah.
and get yourself a backup point
Yeah.
guard. But I would love to see like a sustained like okay, this is the starting lineup. These are our guys for like 8 weeks or like at
Right.
least 6. Give me 5 weeks.
Look
Right,
at
get
that.
a little streak going. Get yourself
I
10 games above 500 going
I
into
was thinking
February.
like if they got 4 games, we'd be
I
on
was
a
gonna say if we
Oh
roll,
could
yeah.
get
yo.
5 games, if we could get 5 games deep, we looking like
I'm so
something.
greedy. I'm so greedy. I'm
you
sorry.
you are. You're being real greedy around here.
It's
But
funny, man. You look at the most injured teams are all like
The
where I
tanking
think we're
ones except us.
yeah.
yeah, like it's us in San Antonio and shit. Like we're out here like mad at our team. Like we're like trying, Jennifer. Orlando's been like number one health wise. Wonder why they're top 3 or 4 in the East. Because we all know Orlando is mid and will always be mid.
Um. Okay. So, moving forward, what's one gift you would like to give to the Heat during this holiday season? And I'm gonna go with Al first.
Oh yes.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I would like to give the Heat the gift of a backup point guard. A true backup point guard, like a guy who legitimately can play the position, doesn't get frazzled by a full court press, knows how to move the ball. A guy who can score, that can hit the three, that can put a little bit of rim pressure. Because I'm kind of tired of Duncan Robinson being our best, our best at attacking the rim. That's not a recipe for success, So a guy who can put a little bit of pressure on the defense, get to the rim a little bit.
Mm.
I'm not talking about even a world beater. I'm not talking about. I'm not asking for Donovan Mitchell or Damian Lillard. That ship has sailed. I'm just asking that you recognize the fact that positionless is all cute and shit until Kyle Lowry misses 3 weeks and Josh Richardson starting at the point. Yes, that is the nightmare scenario I've just presented to you people. Heat front office, if you're listening to me, Kyle Lowry's old. If he gets injured, Josh Richardson's going to be your starting point guard for months. All right, get yourself a backup point guard. They really need that. To me, that's their biggest need at this point. Somebody who could run the second unit competently.
All I want for Christmas is consolidation trade.
Yes.
Consolidation trade. No, for real though. Like, I'm feeling like you should go fishing with Caleb, Kyle, Jovic, and see what you can get and see what is possible. But what am I really giving? If you're really putting my feet to the fire here, it would
Mhm.
be no injuries. That's
Yeah.
I want that 8-week stretch. Like legit, I
Yeah.
think that would before the February trade deadline, it would really illuminate what the hell we have wrong or right, and then let them make decisions based upon that. And I feel like nothing would give them better data for the nerds out there to work with than from now to February getting no injuries. So that's what I would actually give.
Lief, because
Rather than
somebody's out of the rotation if they're fully healthy.
correct, and I'd love to
Right.
see who that
We
one
need to
is.
see who it is.
Correct, because it that has explanatory power without saying a damn thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And
'Cause that's
honestly,
the thing.
Josh, whatever pictures Josh has, he's not going anywhere. Caleb, to me, it's just like it looks like Caleb's the odd man out, which I hate because I'd rather keep Caleb. But who's more valuable?
I think Caleb's gonna start. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Why would you do that to me?
I think that the starting lineup's gonna be Kyle, Tyler, Caleb, Jimmy, and Bam when everyone's back. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, we did a whole season of that last year. We were in the plan.
They
Yeah,
had me
but go
back
run
then.
it back. Run it back. It was awesome.
We
It
like
was
our
so
team,
good.
Alf.
We like it.
Yeah,
They
run
like
that
it.
bullshit back.
But
Haywood
but I
Highsmith,
think-
like 7-1 as a starter.
Right.
Yeah, I keep running
No, it's
Caleb
even
Martin out
better.
there.
It was 9-1
better.
at last check. It's probably
Yeah.
like flattened out a bit because over time that's just how those things
Yeah,
work.
let's-
But at one point it was
Not
like
Tiff-
9-1.
Let's go with the play-in tournament fucking lineup. Let's do that shit.
But the and
Right,
the thing
right.
about it is that like it took that, and I don't like to be that guy, but like it took like an arms race to beat the Bulls to even get to where you needed to get to.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, listen, we as Heat fans don't like to call last year a fluke, and it wasn't a fluke, right? I don't like the fluky term.
No,
I
because
don't
you
like all
gotta
that
win.
shit.
You gotta win the games.
And then you went against the 1 seed, you beat their ass. You went against the Knicks, you beat their ass, and you whooped the Boston Celtics ass, right? And that's with Jimmy on a gimpy ankle. Like if Jimmy was healthy, we would have ran through New York and Boston. We might have swept Boston's ass if Jimmy was completely healthy, right? And of course, Caleb Martin turned into Michael Jordan for a few games, and that was special. But like to think that the Herculean effort, that gauntlet that they ran through last year in the playoffs is repeatable. It's idiocy.
It's not.
Like it is not. Like you need to get a better seed this year. A top 4 seed would be
Don't make it
great.
so hard.
Right.
At
Don't do
least
that to yourself.
exactly. Like just don't make your play the fucking Cavs in a round. Like
Yeah, or Orlando. Like go get that
face up with
4-5
the Magic.
Orlando, but no play-in
Yeah.
bullshit. We don't need none of that.
We don't
Not
need
this team.
thank you. We don't need the they're too good to be in a play-in tournament. But
Right.
you keep fucking around all season, closing with Josh Richardson, you're gonna end up back in the play-in. Like you're gonna be if you just want to stay the worst fourth quarter team in the league, go ahead, keep playing around with this bullshit. Don't consolidate some of these, this wing position that you almost have too much of at this point, which is hard to say because like
I know that's crazy.
Right. It's weird.
like-
It's weird
yeah.
to hear it.
But you got a bunch of 6'6" to 6'8" motherfuckers.
You're right.
Like, get rid of one of them.
Oh, really
Josh
went and
Richardson-
did that, yo. He said he was going to do it, and he really did. He said, one day I envision a day where there'll be 5, 6, 9 players out there, and like
He loves it.
he's almost there.
He's close. Kyle Lowry is really fucking that up.
Kyle is like, I'm the last man standing on this shit. Why I oughta?
But listen, man,
No,
like
but
Jaime
you're right.
is one of those guys. Like you have a lot of guys who need minutes, and when
Right.
you're only going to play 9 guys, maybe 10 in the playoffs. Like
Jaime Jaquez is my favorite player right now. I mean, y'all know Bam is my favorite player,
Right.
but right now, Jaime Jaquez is that guy.
Let me tell you, my daughter goes, "Who's that guy with the hair?"
That's funny.
I will tell you, like
He said the same thing. He's like, why is his hair looking so crazy? I'm like, he's part of the culture, man. He don't care about none of that.
You don't own
I
no
have a shameful
brush?
admission. Dwayne Wade's freshman, Dwayne Wade's rookie year, I did not watch a lot of Heat basketball. I wasn't living in Florida at the time. I wasn't buying the league pass because I was broke. So like I didn't watch a lot. So this has been one of the most enjoyable rookie seasons I've ever watched from a Heat player. It's the most enjoyable rookie season. And I watched Tyler hit that 3 against Philly. Yeah.
I was about to say because you was in the arena for that, dog.
No, but I'm sorry, dude. The way Jaime
Yes.
gets into the paint and muscle shit up
Yes.
like he's a fucking 18-year vet.
Doesn't
like,
it
listen,
make-
you are speaking. it's my heart. Like you're playing the basketball. That's why I love Jimmy Butler. Like just go
Yeah.
get every point out the fucking mud. I don't give
Till
a
that
fuck
new
about all
commercial
that pretty
dropped,
shit.
it didn't occur to me that he picked 11 because it's precisely the 2-2-1-1, 22,
Mm,
11. That did not click for me until I saw the commercial with Jaime and
Bro,
Jimmy.
like he did that one video they showed on social media where in the same game, Jimmy and Jaime did the exact same
Same
yeah.
fucking
play.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, like listen, like if you want to capture my heart as a fucking rookie, play exactly like Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
except you
He's
shoot threes at a
special.
higher clip and
Right.
better.
Well, yeah. That kid is special. We didn't get to it, but quickly we can just touch on a little bit. Where do we need to see him get his offense from now that everybody's starting to return back to the lineup? Because that's a big deal. And no, I didn't have that question written down. I literally just thought about that. What do we need to see? And honestly, he's a rookie. What do we need to see from others to make sure that this guy, who we know is productive, who can be productive, get get his buckets? Because
Reward
he's
him.
been he's one of the guys that's been holding us up. So how can we keep feeding this kid?
Reward the off-ball movement. If you stop looking for that rookie and he
Hmm.
starts thinking, "Oh shit, they ain't gonna pass it to me anyway," so he stops
Right.
doing those quick cuts to the basket and those little intuitive moves where he just sees that if he goes slightly to the left, he can
Hmm.
get into this little pocket and get a pass. Like that stuff is invaluable. So I would just encourage the entire team to make sure that Rook gets fed. And I don't mean fed in a like take turns offense way, like more in if that Rook's moving, use
Yeah.
that to your advantage.
Hmm.
I would say Jaime doesn't have to change a thing, right? And
Correct.
to your guys' point, the rest of the team just has to
Right.
recognize what he brings to the
Right.
table. And my favorite thing about Jaime is I probably would say out of all the shot attempts, maybe 10% of them are him forcing something.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't force shit. Like, and even when he
No.
takes a rebound, takes the full court, and decides I'm gonna attack some when he's like when he sees Nas Reed and he sees barbecue chicken, which I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of rookie is this?
Hmm.
Right? Where you decide you just gonna muscle up Nas Reed. Like Nas Reed ain't no chump, but he
No.
just muscled his ass up and just went and hit a layup over him. Like I want Jaime to keep doing Jaime things. Jaime is a kind of guy, he's a run stopper, right? Like he's the kind of guy who's the other team's on a 9-0 run, they finally miss. Jaime's gonna take the ball down, take it full court, and hit a
Hmm.
reverse fucking layup on somebody's ass and just gonna stop a run. Like that's who he
Yep.
is. So he needs to continue to play that game. I like the way like him and Duncan play off of each other, right?
Yeah.
Duncan,
Hmm.
him and Duncan be looking for them cuts. And
For
these are
sure.
the kind of things that you guys are talking about where it's like, as everyone gets healthy, some of this beautiful basketball that we've been seeing, right? Like high
Might
low
go
game
away.
and
It might
yeah,
go. It
just
might
this
disappear.
beautiful. Because remember, like how we used to watch Kyle and the backups,
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
and we used to be like, "Oh my god!" Some of like he used to make Kyle Guy and Omer Yurt 7 look like
Yes.
fucking all
Yes.
stars. It was just this beautiful symmetry, and whoever got the ball last, and they were usually the one in the best position to score, right? And now I will say in the playoffs, that shit don't work. Somebody gotta go get a bucket out the fucking mud to get it
Right.
themselves, right? But during the regular season, I would like to see these other guys move the ball just like they were moving it when some of these guys were out,
Hmm.
and that will lead to Jaime getting his because he's one of those smart players that's always going to be cutting, always going to be
Yep.
moving, and I just like to see the rest of the guys just kind of learn from that, right? Like, and when I
How
say the rest of the
crazy is
guys,
that,
I'm
yo?
Right. Right.
You
Right.
telling the
like
team
learn from
learn
a
A
from the
rookie.
rookie.
Rook.
Like listen, I need Tyler Herro and Jimmy Butler to watch Duncan Robinson and Jaime Jaquez tape. How
Tell you.
crazy is that shit to say?
Yeah.
Like
But
they do. They
2024.
just
but if you look at it, and even with the last game, there's there's two reasons why I love watching. And Duncan is usually in that mix, and it's Jaime and it's Haywood. They give up the ball
Yeah.
willingly, and
zip, zip,
there's
zip,
nothing
move, move,
greedy
move.
about the way those two play. Yes, Haywood's going to take the three because this is where he's spacing on the floor. But Jaime is also, if he's on the break, his head is moving. He is looking left, he's looking right, and it's always that last decision. If no one is running with him, fuck it, I got it. But he's
And he's
always
one of the few
looking.
guys that can go
Yes.
get that.
Yep.
There's so many. I don't trust anybody on this team more than I do Jaime Jaquez in the open court. And it's a crazy fucking thing to say with Jimmy Butler on this team, Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
Bam is going to get
I get it.
stripped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bam is going to get stripped. He's going to bring the ball too low and going to get ripped. Like Tyler's going to get swatted. Jimmy gets blocked. Or what's going to happen? Jimmy's going to pass it out from underneath the rim for some reason. Jaime's going to go get that fucking bucket on the break.
That's why they don't ever go on the break.
That's why they're not on the break. Right. Exactly.
You go look if you like look at their advanced metrics on it's like they're really good at the fast break, but then you look at the frequency and they never do it ever.
Like, unless it's a perfect situation.
Right.
Jaime is that one that even the situation don't look pretty.
He's going 1-on-3.
Boom. And he's you know who else? Max used to get it like that sometimes. Like
if you're not running with me, I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Max? I had to talk about that earlier too. I had to talk about Max earlier too, because I heard he was a Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler merchant. That's how he's been.
That's crazy.
Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell has only played how many games this season?
Correct.
I mean,
he's
he has dispelled.
Max is a baller. He's been a hooper, man.
He's balling.
But he's dispelled a lot of that. He players when they go somewhere else.
He's the first one. He's the first one in a really long time.
Gabe isn't helping that.
Gabe ain't doing it. Nope.
I was watching Gabe the other day, man. That man.
He don't even look happy. He don't look happy. I feel bad for him.
They could have used him this year, and he would have been right. He would have been fine in this rotation. Fine.
Oh, he would have.
I missed that ball pressure.
I'd trade Caleb Martin for.
For Gabe right now. Give me Gabe and a pack of Little Debbie's. I'll trade him right now.
Give me Gabe and
Roscoe's chicken and waffles and Gabe for Caleb.
There you go.
Oh, man,
there you go.
That's a good plate.
I ain't gotta get all of that. Give me a what is that Wendy's? Give me the Wendy's Biggie 4. And Gabe. All I know is you can give me a Jamaican beef patty. As long as Gabe is there, I'll take him right now.
And a cocoa bread.
Don't sleep on a Jamaican beef patty, though.
And the cocoa bread. Alfie's right. I'll wrap it in that bread. As long as I got. Listen, I miss Gabe putting that full court pressure on. I miss that.
Yeah. No, we don't.
You don't have it right now.
Use that defense. I don't even know. Like I don't know what happened to Caleb Martin's defense.
It's weird.
Like he's a sieve. Like he's just getting blown by. Josh Richardson, I'm not surprised because I've been trying to tell y'all that.
I think it's the knees.
We was on podcast in 2017, and I was trying to tell people Josh Richardson can't defend worth a lick. I don't even know he was on the team in 2017.
He tries hard though. No, but he does.
He's the worst angles I've ever seen. Like there are times he's between the player and the half court line. I'm like, what do you do? Who are you going to defend?
I'm surprised he doesn't get his like ankles broke, for lack of a better term, more often. I mean, it kind of happens, but not like the way the real
he don't go down.
Way.
It's a little like
well, because he's in such a bad position, he can recover.
He's just
you get your ankles broke when you're.
I like him. I just don't like what's happening. Like I just don't know. I feel like
I don't like the role they put him in. Like, this motherfucker's cooking us. Josh, go get him. And like, what?
He's Spider-Man.
To a gunfight with a knife.
Oh, he's Spider-Man.
Not that guy.
No, he's Spider-Man in the Avengers. You should have took your ass home. Now you out here. Now you out here bleeding on Tony Stark. You should have went home.
No, he's Hawkeye. He's Hawkeye in the Avengers. Oh. The fuck are you doing out here with your bows and arrows? If you don't get yourself up on a perch and get out the damn battlefield, just from afar. Don't get out here trying to swing with gods and people with real powers.
Come on, it's got to be one mortal. You got to have one mortal on the team.
Halliburton cooking. Go out there, Hawkeye. Go get Thanos.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Go get your bitch ass. Back up on a building somewhere, shooting arrows from. Hey, when you run out of arrows, go home. It's the fourth quarter. You're done. You got no arrows left.
Like I said, he showed up. He showed up on the spaceship.
Jay Rich
But
at
Mr. Stark.
point of attack is the equivalent of getting your jeans at Sam's Club, right, Al?
Who do that? Alf, you do that with
No,
big
I
pockets?
had to do that on a business trip once. I lost my luggage and I I was like desperate and I ran into a Sam's Club or no, it was a
Tiff,
Costco.
you ever heard that
actually.
shit?
And
That
No.
motherfucker got there's
Anyway.
a classic hot heat
Wait,
beat clip. And
wait, you buy
said,
jeans next you buy jeans next to the roast pork? Like what
yeah,
is
like they got the rotisserie chickens on the one side and I got their hermetically sealed.
Tiff, I said he
cheese.
bought a six pack of jeans.
Anyway,
Alf, they was wrapped in plastic.
That's what they was shrink wrapped. Oh, Tiff, I said they
That's
had no
Jay
underwear
Rich.
sold. Tiff, I said
That's
they had
Jay
the underwear
Rich.
sold in them like some swim trunks.
They got the net
he
pockets.
wasn't lying. But I got through it.
And Jay Rich will also.
This is true.
Motherfuckers had elastic waistbands. One size fits all jeans.
I was real fat back then.
Oh no.
Sorry. I can say that about myself. I shouldn't talk like that though. My bad.
Oh.
He's a shoelace in the belt.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
I want to thank my guests. Lief, tell where they can find you.
5 on the Floor, wherever you download podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube also. And you know where to find me because I'm spamming Twitter with all kinds of stuff constantly. So if you don't have me muted yet, you can find me on Twitter as well, or X or whatever the heck we're calling it.
Well, yeah. Alf, where can the people find you?
Now, randomly on post game shows and Heat Beat podcasts. Nowhere regular anymore. You can find me raising my daughter and
That's what's up.
trying to be a better husband.
That's it.
Growing this damn hair out.
That's it.
People stop thinking I'm going bald. Look, I got hair, motherfuckers. They told me.
That's
They
why
were
I'm
like,
growing
I
mine
thought you were
out,
going
too.
bald.
I kept getting a fade, and on the post game shows, they're like, "Yo, you're bald." I'm like, "Nah, yo, I'm like fading my hair. I'm not bald."
No,
like,
it's wild,
I'm
bro.
I'm not bald.
There
I
you
mean, like,
see. Look at that.
There you go.
Like,
look
look,
at
there's
that.
You know what they do?
Handsome.
Anyway,
What happens is our foreheads are getting bigger. Okay?
you're right.
This shit is getting, but I'm not bald. I got hair, so I'm like, nah, I'm gonna grow this shit out. Keep calling me bald in my goddamn face.
So I'm going through that same struggle, my boy.
Oh my God. I want to thank my guest again for
No, thank you, Tiff, for having me on the show with Lief. I haven't been on the show with Lief
In a long
bro. It's
time,
been a
man.
while.
We
Yeah,
got to
man.
do this more often. Yes, this was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This was
Tiffany,
great.
for
This was
facilitating.
fun. I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Tiff.
guys coming on. I want to thank my producer, Brian M.
Yes.
And listen, as I always end it, you are heard, you are seen, you are loved. Protect yourself and your peace. Good night.